What up, fight world? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button, also subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the notification gang, hit the bell icon. Thank you guys for the super chat, the Patreons, the donations. We working. Back with my original segment, Boxing Ego's First Look, which is my Tell of the Tape series, where I give you a sneak peek, a preview of the fight before the fight. Now, July 15th, at the Fabulous Forum in Inglewood, California, it goes down. Golden Boy put together a great triple header. I'm really looking forward to this. The main event is a WBC Super Featherweight World Championship affair with new champion Miguel Berchelt making his first title defense against the former champion Takashi Miura. If you guys seen Berchelt's last fight, he beat Francisco Vargas via stoppage, who was the former WBC champion. That's a mutual opponent that him and Takashi Miura, a tough as nails fighter from Japan. I sound like Tim Bradley, but very tough. So I think this main event's gonna deliver and be an all-out war. Underneath that, as the co-main event, WBA Super World Champion JEZREEL CORRALES, who they've even talked about him facing Lomachenko possibly. He's gonna make his U.S. television debut against Robinson Castellanos, who recently made Yuriorkis Gamboa quit. I believe it was the day before Canelo versus Chavez Jr. on that Friday in Las Vegas. He knocked down Gamboa a few times and pretty much forced him to retire on the stool. Now, you see the title of this video, a fight I'm looking forward to, and this possibly, because there's a lot of good fights, these should all provide action, but to me, this is the one I'm probably looking forward to the most on this triple header, because I think this is very meaningful for the division. And it's light heavyweights Joe Smith Jr., who had a phenomenal 2016, which we're going to get into, versus Sullivan Barrera. Trains out of Miami, and he's from Cuba originally. This will be on HBO Boxing After Dark triple header. I'm looking forward to this. I think the location's great. LA always draws an excellent crowd, and you have fights that I really feel should provide action. Now, as far as Joe Smith Jr., I really like Joe Smith Jr. He's an all-American type. He's Irish-American, based out of New York. He doesn't do boxing full-time, at least yet. He's a construction worker, union worker in New York, and he's very humble. I mean, after he beat Bernard Hopkins, his very last fight, Bernard said he was going to retire, and it was his final fight anyway, but Joe Smith Jr. punctuated that and made sure that that was the right decision for Hopkins, because he literally knocked Bernard Hopkins out of the ring in their fight. And I think in that fight, he made Bernard Hopkins look older. Clearly, he's a big dude. I've seen him next to Sergey Kovalev in pictures, and he has some size to him, and it looks like his arms are extremely long. So that was a great win for him in 2016. And just before that, most people hadn't even heard of him. He was like Jeff Horn before Jeff Horn, and he fought against a Polish fighter, very tough, that went the distance with Adonis Stevenson, who was a current WBC champion, in the first fight, and that was Andres Fonfara. Joe Smith Jr. seemingly came out of nowhere. Not too many people outside of New York were familiar with Smith Jr., and he pulled a massive upset. It was a PBC card. It was in Chicago, and if you know Chicago, there's a big, vast Polish community, and this was supposed to be, if you think about it, Andres Fonfara, after he lost to Adonis Stevenson, he went on to do good things. He beat Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., and to this day, he's the only person who has stopped him. Sergio Martinez beat up on him, and Canelo beat up on him, but they didn't stop him. Fonfara did. He also beat Nathan Cleverly in a war, and he was climbing his way back up the ladder. And he ran into Joe Smith Jr., who clearly had other plans, and Joe Smith Jr. knocked him out in the first round. So definitely a power puncher, a motivated guy, and he believes in his skill set. Sullivan Barrera, similar experience. He was an undefeated fighter, stepped up in class against Andre Ward, got knocked down in that fight. I covered that fight live as media, and he got back up, finished the fight on his feet. He left former trainer, Golovkin trainer, Abel Sanchez, and he kind of regrouped, relocated to Miami, and he bounced back his career. After waiting off the shelf, he was trying to land fights with anybody. He called out Jean Pascal. There was talks of him maybe fighting Artur Beterbiev. Those fights didn't pan out, and he ended up fighting a Golden Boy prospect who was undefeated power puncher, who Golden Boy was pushing, and that was Shabransky, Vyacheslav Shabransky, who was undefeated. He had been on previous Golden Boy shows. And Sullivan Barrera, they traded knockdown. Sullivan Barrera got knocked down once, but Sullivan Barrera actually knocked Shabransky down multiple times en route to a stoppage. So that was a great bounce back performance after losing to Andre Ward, who is now a light heavyweight champion. So he fought that, and he also had a fight on HBO Latino, so he's back on the winning side of things. This, to me, is a meaningful fight because you have guys who are just under the championship. Even though Joe Smith Jr. has a version of the belt, they're just under that championship tier, and I think a fight like this could push them over the edge to the point where we should really start looking at them for a title shot. And there's another fight at light heavyweight I'm looking forward to, Marcus Brown versus Shawnee Monahan. That's a New York fight that they're putting on the Omar Figueroa versus Robert Guerrero card on PBC. So all in all, these two fights, to me, are going to establish some things, and I would like to see the winners meet, or maybe the winner of Smith Jr. versus Barrera. I think you can even make an argument that they deserve a title shot straight away. So hopefully it's a good performance. Again, you got two quality fighters on a triple header, HBO Boxing After Dark, at the Los Angeles Fabulous Forum in Inglewood, and I'm really looking forward to this. Golden Boy, I think, did a great job putting together this card on regular HBO. If you notice, HBO has been putting a lot of their best fights on pay-per-view, so it's good to see a triple header of this magnitude on regular HBO. Now let's take a look at the tail of the tape. Now, these two light heavyweights, Joe Smith Jr. and Sullivan Barrera, both have one loss. Joe Smith Jr., in his one loss, he was stopped. He has a record of 23-1. Sullivan Barrera has a record of 19-1. Of course, as I mentioned, that one loss was to Andre SOG Ward, who is still undefeated, still considered pound for pound #1, and there's no shame in losing to a fighter like Andre Ward. The age advantage goes to Joe Smith Jr. He is the younger guy here. He is 27 years old. Sullivan Barrera, as you see with a lot of the Cubans, sometimes they take a while to defect and they come over here. He's older. He's 35 years old. Now, the listed height for Joe Smith Jr. is 6 foot, and Sullivan Barrera is listed at 6 foot 2 inches tall. But Joe Smith Jr. looks pretty tall, so I can't wait to see the face-off to see if those measurements, because sometimes it's like wrestling, you see the measurements and they're slightly off. It says someone's taller, like this says Mayweather's 5'9". I don't really think he's 5'9", but that's what they're listed at. Both guys are definitely power punching, big light heavyweights, full light heavyweights, in shape, muscular light heavyweights. Speaking of light heavyweight, this fight will take place in Campaign at 175 pounds, the light heavyweight division. And I apologize, when it comes to Joe Smith Jr., I searched everywhere, his reach was not listed, so I had to do a little bit of guesstimation, and I'm kind of guessing his actual reach based on photos and video and stuff like that. If you look at his weigh-ins with Bernard Hopkins, I believe, had a 75-inch reach, so I'm estimating that Joe Smith Jr., and again, no websites or his promoter has it on their website, his actual reach. So I guesstimate his reach is about 73.5 inches, give or take. And Sullivan Barrera, his reach is listed at 73 inches. Again, this is a good light heavyweight fight on a triple header HBO. If you have the network, then you won't have to pay any extra money. And I'm looking forward to this because this ultimately is going to be one of those types of fights where I think it's going to be sure shot action. You got so much power in the gloves of both fighters. They both have showed heart in the past. Sullivan Barrera, as I mentioned, was knocked down by Andre Ward. He finished the fight, and he didn't have the experience of Andre Ward, who has an Olympic gold medal for USA. He's been in there with, before Ward, he'd been in there with Cairo Murat. But the thing I like about both guys is after their losses, they both have one loss apiece. After their losses, they actually bounce back. Joe Smith Jr., phenomenal 2016. He was one of 2016's breakout stars. Sullivan Barrera lost to Ward, and he ended up stopping a guy who I believe was the favorite, and it was on a Golden Boy card, so Shabransky was the guy who was supposed to win, and he ended up stopping him and knocking him down multiple times. Great performance, and I'm looking forward to this. I definitely don't have a problem if the fight is fair and square and we get a clear-cut winner. I don't have a problem with either guy nabbing a title shot after this, but there's a lot of talent in the light heavyweight division. You got Adonis Stevenson, Andre Ward, Sergey Kovalev still there. You have Gvozdyk, Artur Beterbiev, right? A lot of talent at light heavyweight. Shawnee Monahan versus Marcus Brown winner. So I'm looking forward to this fight. It will be all eyes, and I think this particular fight might have the ability to steal the show. Let me know what you guys think of this HBO Boxing After Dark card and this particular opening fight, Joe Smith Jr. versus Sullivan Barrera. Make sure you smash the like button. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video, is Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.